Okay, hello, my name is Lorenzo, and I'm going to present this this work we did for the CINET Federation in Mexico. And this is my company, Jaco, which is the one that did this research. I'm Lorenzo here. Okay, so this whole thing is about user provisioning. And this is basically the evolution for the provisioning point of view about application domestication. So in the first place, we have while applications which are not integrated with SAML2 technologies or any other federation technologies. Then we have a little bit more advanced application with that single sign-on profile. Then in the next step, we have single sign-on application that also does just-in-time provisioning of users. And then the next one, which is the one we made, is single sign-on with just-in-time provisioning, but also asynchronous provisioning. And then next step we will see soon is more or less the same, but with the use of new standards like SCIM. So let's see what basically a very rough diagram about single sign-on, where the application starts the flow with an authentication request to the IDP through the SP. Then the IDP just responds with an authentication response. And then the service provider sends the user information, the user attributes to the application, which just log in the user. But the problem here is that the user must be already provisioned in the application, which is a problem most of the time. In the next step, we have single sign-on with just-in-time provisioning, where basically the steps are the same, but when the user attributes goes to the application provisions the user in that moment. That's because it's just-in-time, and then log in. But here, the problem is that it requires the user to sign in the application to be provisioned. Sometimes we want the user to be provisioned in the application before. And that's what our approach tries to handle. So here is different because the IDP starts the flow asking the application for a provision request. Then the application sends an attribute query request, which is different from the authentication request. And the identity provider collects all the information it can about the user. Then it sends back the attribute response to the service provider, and now the service provider can give all the attributes of the user to the application and then provision. And all this stuff is without the user intervention. It can be from an administrator starting the request from the IDP. So in this case, steps 2 and 4 can be implemented using front channel or back channel. But the specification of attribute query request said that you should use back channel, in this case, SOAP communication. If you want to see more details of this communication, you can see that in the first case, we are doing with a HTTP post or delete, depending if we want to provision the user or deprovision. Then the attribute query, you can do it with SOAP or HTTP redirect, but the spec said you should use SOAP. Then for collecting the attributes, there is a lot of ways of doing this. You just go to your sources and get the information. And then in the attribute query response, you put all the attributes, but that's a typical attribute query response. And the user info sending and the provision is specific to the application. Okay, so what we get, it was a prototype with simple SAML PHP. We get support for front and back channel, as I told you before. We have a demo, I'm not going to show you because of the time. And we have a repository in GitHub because all this is open source. And I invite you to get and clone the repo and test it yourself. The next step would be to support SCIM. It's only change the initial request. All the other steps are the same. Okay. I did it.